When it comes to romantic relationship advice, you'd be better served watching the crocodile that is used to predict Australian prime ministers and elections than me. But when it comes to the B and E string and the relationship between those strings, you're in the right place, right? So today we're talking about the two highest strings on a regular guitar, but this is anything but a regular guitar. It's the Cort Gold A6. I am using this because they sponsored this video, so really great acoustic guitar. Check it out with a link in the description. But I really want to talk about how these strings are very related and really just why they are perfect strings to be tuned to a B and E, okay? So we're gonna do all this in the key C. All right, I've done another video kind of like this, talking about just like the relationship between certain string sets and going through the neck. But we have to learn the notes in the key of C all along the B and the E strings, and then it's going to teach you how to do just cool stuff that is going to sound kind of like this. Okay, so basically that's just a few different things that you can do, just kind of jamming on just the high B and E strings, and that's why it's useful to know this information, all right? So, key of C, no sharps or flats, the notes are just C, D, E, F, G, A, B. The open B string, if we start on the B string, is gonna look like this. We just have the open B string, the first fret, the third fret, so B, C, D, fifth fret, sixth fret, 8, 10, 12. Okay, so if we were to name these notes, it'd be B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B. Okay? So, right there, that could be a lot. That's why I want to pair it with the high E string, because I think memorizing these in chunks is a much better way to do it for a lot of people. Because again, going through an entire string of intervals, essentially, can be difficult, all right? So for the high E string, let's just focus on the first 5 frets. If we have the open E string, there's our E, right? So E is here, first fret is F, third fret is G, fifth fret is A. So again, those same notes starting on E would be open, 1, 3, 5. You may have already noticed that the B string is open, 1, 3, 5. So in this key, open 1, 3, 5, open 1, 3, 5. They're actually the exact same thing, all right? So you can play these together, open, open, 1 and 1, 3, and 5. All right, so at the very least, you can start off by just maybe playing any chord in the key of C. This is just an A minor. And then double stopping through that chord, okay? It works for any of the chords in this key, all right? So for example, if you do some other chords, it'd be like maybe A, C, G major, E minor, A minor, C, G, E minor, F, B, okay? So we just resolved on a C there. That's just the first 5 frets, okay? So it's a very symmetrical shape, all right, which again is what lends itself to really, really easy double stops like that. Now, I want to continue on. There's only one difference between these two strings if we talk about the notes in that key, all right? Like we said before, if we go on from the B string, 5th fret, again, this is an E, the same note open as the high E string is the 5th fret on the B string. We've got the 6th fret, 8th fret, 10th fret, 12th fret. Okay, so if we think about them as intervals, it's easy. Just 2 more frets, a whole step at a time. Once you get to the 6th fret. All right, so E, F, G, A, B. All right, now if we go to the high E string, this note, the 5th fret on the high E string is an A, B, C, D, E. Okay, so that's the difference. Instead of 6 on the B string, we have 7 on the high E string, right? So if we look at that, there we go, okay? Now, another really cool thing is to go back to the symmetry part is we look at like the last 3 notes to the 12th fret. It's the exact same thing, all right? So again, this opens up a lot of different like cool playing possibilities that you could do. So maybe you're not playing an open position. Maybe you're playing like one of my favorite chords, A minor 11. To like an F. You know, it's good for like maybe just generating kind of like lead lines and stuff like that. But above all else, I really think that like there's a lot of value in just kind of like seeing these as, and then going backwards, and then just remembering that this spot right here is where they differ, okay? And we can talk about that with intervals in music theory, all right? Now, if we just play those notes in the key of C, starting on a B, we actually get a mode of the C scale. Now, it gets scary talking about modes. Trust me, I've been there. I know all about it. I know how scary it gets, right? But we can really kind of easily make this happen. So all it is if we start on the B string and then play the C notes. B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B. It just kind of has an interesting sound, right? That would be what's known as the Locrian mode, the 7th mode in the key of C, right? People don't talk about Locrian that much. It can be a lot. It can be a lot to take in. I understand, but I think it's really worthwhile to know, okay? So the relationship between these is really important. If we talk about just the intervals, right? Like I said, there's only one difference. So when I say intervals, what does that mean? It's like, all right, how am I gonna space these notes apart? Whole steps and half steps. So a whole step is 2 frets, a half step is 1 fret. So if I start with the B string, I go a half step, and then a whole step, and then a whole step. Okay? Then I'm gonna go another half step. That's the important one right there. The distance from B to F, or if you play them together, it's kind of nasty, right? That's what's called a tritone, if you've ever heard that word before. Basically, it means 3 full whole steps. 1, 2, 3. But the interesting thing about that mode, B, as compared to E, let's go to the high E string. We have a half step, a whole step, a whole step, another whole step, then a half step. The only difference is that tritone, okay? So aside from this note right here, they're kind of the exact same thing. So this really comes in handy when maybe like you're soloing or you're in a different form, because let's root this on a lower string that you may be more familiar with, okay? So E in the key of C is the 3rd note, C, D, E, all right? This would be known as the Phrygian mode. So if we just maybe played, let's play the 7th fret on the A string. This is an E, just a lower octave. That guy right there is what kind of gives away that this is in Phrygian, right? It kind of rubs. A lot of like flamenco style stuff will have that characteristic. B is the exact same thing, but it also has that tritone. Okay, so they're really, really close to each other. Now, you can use those as different ideas, or we can combine them to make the same idea, right? And this all comes from the relationship of just these two at the top. All right, now what I want to do is I want to go through the B and the E strings together, and then just kind of like move them all the way from open B and E to the 12th fret, which is the octave B and E, okay? So it's open and open, 1 and 1, 3 and 3, 5 and 5. Here's where they differ, 6 and 7, 8 and 8, 10 and 10, 12 and 12. All right, so one more time. So they're harmonizing with each other, which I think is like a really, really cool thing that you can do. And also another great thing about this key specifically is all the open strings, E, A, D, G, B, E, will be in this key. So any combination of these notes that you can make on the top of the chord is gonna sound right when you play it with other open chords. Even if you take that kind of nasty sounding stuff, right? That pairing of 6B and 7E. Like, let's just try to like make up some new stuff. Like, all right, I use this A minor 7 chord voicing a lot, but what if I add this on top? Well, that's interesting. That's like a chord that I never would have even thought about like doing myself, right? Or maybe I can add this as a transition between two chords. One thing that I like to do a lot is I like to take a C major 7 chord voicing like this, where my pointer finger is on the 8th fret of the low E string, my ring finger and my pinky are on 9, D, and G, my middle finger is on 8B, and maybe I want to go to that A minor 11 chord voicing I use all the time, where it's just the 5th fret on the E, D, and G strings, and my pointer finger is on the 1st fret of the B string, right? Maybe just something like nice and relaxing as it is. But what if I kind of sneak that little guy in right in between? So I go. I'm just kind of messing around with those little pairs, right? And I think there's a lot of value in just kind of like thinking of pairs, even if, you know, again, I'm kind of trying to force these into these examples, but just thinking of them and seeing them and being aware of where they are really kind of opened up a lot of stuff for me anyways. Like even when you do bar chords, you'll notice that no matter if it's a major bar chord or a minor bar chord, the B and the E strings are always together on the top, right? It's only that G string that gives it its major or minor feel. So it's a great way to kind of experiment and just maybe kind of do different things, right? Instead of playing them together, like open 1, 3, 5, maybe I can switch it up a little bit and go like 5 and 5, 5 and 3, 3 and 5, 1 and 3, 3 and 1, 1 and 1, open and open, 5 and 8, 6 and 8. I can get like maybe like an open G and a D string to kind of add to it, to kind of give it a little more thickness. But I really think you should just try to experiment through these different kind of dyad 2-note chord voicings, because you can learn a lot just from thinking about two strings moving together and then thinking of kind of where they are modally and how you can kind of like use it to incorporate and spice up like a lot of different things when you're playing, right? So anyways, I just wanted to talk a little bit about the relationship between these two. Thank you, Corp, for sponsoring this video. Check out the Gold A6. Like I said, I'll link it in the description. Awesome acoustic guitar. I've used it in tons and tons of videos and performances, so I give it the stamp of approval. And if you have any questions or comments, hit me in the comment section, Instagram, Twitter, or the website, and I'll talk to you all soon. Thanks a lot.